Hi, my name is Lee Gitsis, and today we're going to talk about part one of our BYOD 2.0 series, Why the VDI Experiment Has Failed. This section today will highlight on the promise of VDI. With the advent of mobile technologies such as smartphones, and tablets, and ultrabooks, it became evident that users wanted to be able to use their enterprise applications on these devices as well. While we're moving to a cloud-based, browser-based world for many of our applications, the reality is that a large portion of our applications today still are Windows-based enterprise applications. And the big challenge became, how do we get these applications to run on non-Windows-based platforms? It quickly became apparent that VDI technology could solve that need. In addition, it would solve many other needs that we have regarding management of endpoints and applications and desktops. So VDI began to have a lot of promise very quickly. Here we've compiled a top 10 list of what we feel the biggest reasons that VDI had a lot of promise. The first is that it gives on-demand access to computing resources. No longer do I need to be tied to my fat client endpoint. I can get these resources from any device, anytime, anywhere. It's a great reduction of support requirements. We don't need to disperse technical staff. Our technical staff can be centralized. We don't have to support hardware as much. Many of the endpoints become disposable, and therefore, really, all we're supporting is software. We have greater control and security from the data center. These technologies that create the experience for end users are presentation technologies. So our endpoint device becomes nothing more than like a TV watching a cable program. It's presented, I consume, I create, and then when I disconnect, no data resides on my device. It has an inherent lower TCO for desktop resources because we're using single image management, we're consolidating back to the data center, everything is software based, that TCO greatly reduces. We have easier control of desktop management. With many of the single image management technology solutions, we can have one image file that can provide resources to thousands of users. We have a reduction of endpoint investment. Because now we don't need the power to be on the client, we can provision things such as thin clients. We can also extend the life cycle of our existing endpoint hardware because we're going to be using back-end resources rather than local resources. We have faster provisioning. With the single image management technologies and desktop pools, we can provision an office of 40 users within minutes instead of before where it would take days, weeks, or even months. There's inherent fault tolerance. Because we're leveraging our enterprise data center and enterprise hardware and virtualization hypervisors, we're taking advantage of all those technologies and their fault tolerance and high availability capabilities. We're simplifying task management and upgrade cycles. When we have one single hard disk providing desktop services to thousands of users, I only have to do one update or one series of updates to that image to be able to service those thousands of users. Subsequently, I can roll back much faster as well. And most importantly, it enables BYOD and user self-service. We can deliver a cloud-like experience to our end users. They can have on-demand access, and the operating system that they choose to use becomes irrelevant. So why BYOD? Why has BYOD become the main driving factor for this technology? Well, for one, it's happening whether we embrace it or not. According to the Aberdeen Group, nearly 75% of all enterprises today have a BYOD policy. So many of today's larger enterprises recognize this trend as well. The focus, of course, is on tablets and smartphones, really driven by iOS and the iPad, although Android is gaining market share, and now even ultrabooks are starting to be able to gain more market share, and users are beginning to want to bring these devices into the enterprise as well. Global data traffic grew 2.3-fold in 2011. Mobile traffic is more than doubled for the fourth year in a row. So the devices in use are clearly becoming more and more prevalent. In conjunction with that, the number of mobile connected devices that exist will exceed the amount of people on Earth by the end of 2012. At that pace, by 2016, we'll have 1.4 devices per capita. That's a significant trend. And the other aspect of this is what the device means to the end user. They're incredibly personal. Unlike a laptop or a desktop computer, these devices have become virtually your personal companion. In my own personal experience, my smartphone is my primary telephone for personal and business. It's my primary method of communication electronically for personal and business, whether it's through Facebook, whether it's through email. It is my GPS. It is my portal into work when I use it as a hotspot or when I access my virtual applications. It's also my camera, my video camera, my gym coach, and every other aspect of my life that I really need to use from an information perspective derived from this device. And if it's that important to me on a personal level and that important to other people on a personal level, they want to be able to use it in their work life, their personal life, and all aspects of their life. And that is the biggest driving force. So what is another term for this? It is consumerization. And consumerization will force more IT change over the next 10 years than any other trend. In short, what consumerization means is that the devices that I can buy at Best Buy and the applications and freeware I can download, such as Dropbox and Evernote, in a lot of ways are more superior than the applications and hardware that can be provided to me by my IT department. The consumer has more choices than ever, and they can pick what they want to work with and what they want to use, and they want to be able to take it in and use the tools that they think make them more productive. At Citrix Systems, a company that embraces BYOD, a survey was done to see how many devices their employees carry on a regular basis. And as we can see, the overwhelming majority here was 3. So likely most employees carry a smartphone, a computer, and a tablet device. With that comes an expectation. I want each device to fit the need that I feel it fits best. I want to be able to access my data from all of them. I want it to be ubiquitous. I want it to be easy. And I want it to work. So, with all of this promise, we've realized that this seems to be the route to go. But what happened? Why has this VDI experiment failed, and where are we now? Well, the VDI experiment has failed because of one processor and 2 gigs of RAM per VM or per user, resource requirements quickly become unrealistic. The hardware investment has made ROI unachievable. If I have 10,000 users, I need 10,000 virtual processors and 20,000 gigs of RAM to make my VDI environment work. At 5 users per physical core, we're looking at quite a considerable amount of hardware resources. The other aspect is the management. The scale has become unmanageable. VDI deployments at 10,000 virtual machines, no matter which way I shake it, is 10,000 virtual machines. It still requires an abstraction layer to deliver a manageable deployment. Many VDI deployments, we've just installed everything right on the image. So what's happened? We need an image for everybody. We need an image for every unique user there is. And images have begun to sprawl. And therefore, all the advantages of single image management have vanished. And we've really come back into what we were doing at the endpoint with fat clients, except now we're doing it on the data center with more expensive hardware. What Comm Solutions has found is that 95% of our successful deployments have been a combination of a hosted shared desktop, published applications, and virtual desktops.